Hey guys, and what is up? It's your boy Tise here. In my two most previous videos, I talked about why the Bedrock edition of Minecraft is bad, and why the old console editions were much better. As well as that, I also went over and refuted some of the arguments made by Bedrock players as to why Bedrock is better than console edition, which it isn't. Though there were some good points that I missed out on while making part 1, so in this video I'll be making a part 3 where I go over some more reasons as to why console good, Bedrock bad. Very bad. First of all, the menus in Bedrock Edition are painfully slow compared to the menus of the old console editions. Just about every menu in Bedrock Edition, from the main title screen to the game settings, all take up a considerable amount of time to get through, with them oftentimes taking a couple of seconds to load up, as well as having other issues such as input lag, slowdown, and freezing. In contrast, the menus of the old console editions were really quick and snappy to get through, without any issues making them slow to navigate, aside from a little bit of freezing on the main menu when launching the game on an old 7th gen console like the PS3 and PS Vita. Secondly, the camera control in Bedrock while using a controller feels really bad in comparison to the camera control of the old console editions. Moving the camera while using a controller in Bedrock feels overly sensitive and very loose, whereas with console edition, the camera movement felt very sturdy and natural. On top of that, the camera in Bedrock edition never manages to keep straight when turning it in any direction while using a controller. This was never a problem with the camera control in the old console editions, as the camera would always keep straight no matter how and where you moved it. And while you can turn down the sensitivity of the camera control in Bedrock to help alleviate these issues, it still doesn't entirely fix them or make Bedrock's camera control while using a controller feel nearly as good as the camera control of the old console editions. Thirdly, hostile mobs in Bedrock Edition aren't nearly as much of a threat as they were in the old console editions and feel really dumbed down in comparison. For example, in console edition, skeletons would move around while shooting arrows at the player, making it harder for you to kill them, whereas in Bedrock, they just stand in the same spot while firing, making them extremely open to a direct attack from the player. Basically, just about all hostile mobs in Bedrock pose no threat or challenge, thanks to their behaviour being extremely dumbed down compared to how they behaved in the old console editions. And while this was probably done to make it easier for mobile players to kill hostile mobs while using Bedrock's awful touchscreen controls that haven't been changed since the game's alpha, they still shouldn't have dumbed them down that much, and instead should have actually improved Bedrock's god-awful touch controls. Also, I just want to add something in that's kind of unrelated to this point, but in Bedrock Edition, whenever you get a critical hit on a mob, you can barely tell if you've gotten that critical hit, because the indicator for critical hits doesn't show nearly as well in Bedrock as it does in Legacy and the Java editions. So half the time you won't be able to tell if you've gotten a critical hit in Bedrock unless you've counted the amount of times you hit a mob. Also, this part was unscripted because I only just realised this after I finished recording and editing the script, so yeah, a bit of unscripted commentary. Fourthly, building in creative mode while flying in Bedrock simply feels atrocious when compared to doing the exact same in the old console editions, and makes building massive builds a real pain. Moving around while flying in Bedrock feels almost like you're actually walking on ice, whereas in console edition the flight movement felt just right. Naturally, this makes placing blocks while flying in Bedrock feel even worse than how it was handled in the old console editions, with you constantly misplacing blocks and having to keep readjusting your position while you're making your builds. It's kinda hard for me to exactly describe and pinpoint the issues here since I don't play on creative all that much, but if you go build something while flying in console edition's creative mode, then do the exact same in Bedrock, then you'll know just what I'm talking about. Also, if you're playing with a controller, then those camera control issues that I talked about earlier are just gonna make things even more unbearable. Finally, Bedrock Edition on all non-mobile platforms like console and Windows 10 will always be held back by Bedrock on low-end mobile devices. For example, features that wouldn't work well or function at all on low-end mobile devices probably won't ever make it to Bedrock on devices and platforms that would be able to actually handle such features, since the developers want to make Bedrock the exact same game across all the devices and platforms that it's on, so they probably won't implement features into the game that are only exclusive to some platforms, with the exception of the custom stuff for mobile and PC, since console platform holders don't like that stuff. In comparison, the old console editions on PS4 and Xbox One had features that were kept out of the other console editions that were on far weaker hardware, like bigger player counts, amplified worlds, and much larger world size options. Also, one last thing, Bedrock's Hunger Bar depletion is a complete joke, and its Ender Dragon fight is extremely cheap compared to the fight in console edition. Also, I think it's the same case with the Wither fight too, though I have yet to fight the Wither in survival mode legitly. Also, my friend who was having trouble trying to set up a realm is having the exact same issue again, and mobile players using Minecraft's touch controls have a really unfair advantage in PvP games where they can hit players 7 blocks ahead of them, which makes them an absolute pain to deal with if you're on console or Windows 10. So yeah, those were some more reasons why Bedrock Edition is garbage and why Console Edition was better. And also, once again, if you want to see Console Edition on 8th gen consoles like the PS4 and Xbox One receive updates again, then my friend has made a request on the official Minecraft feedback website asking for exactly that, which I urge you to consider upvoting. Right now, we're kind of close to hitting 200 votes, so it would be nice if we could hit that goal within the next few weeks or so. Also, this video will probably be my very last video on this topic, as I've now covered pretty much all the reasons why console good, Bedrock bad, and I think this mini-series has been stretched out far enough. Anyway, thank you all for watching my video, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all later with another awful video. Peace out guys.